I didn't scream when I opened the bedroom door. What I remember first isn't what they were doing. It's how ordinary everything looked. My husband's watch on the dresser, the curtains half drawn against the afternoon heat, a second phone charging beside my lamp, then the sound, low, familiar, unguarded. When they saw me, neither of them leapt apart in panic. My husband looked irritated, as if I'd interrupted a meeting. My son-in-law avoided my eyes but didn't apologize. In that small, overheated room, I understood something cold. This wasn't reckless. It was practiced. I closed the door. I walked to the kitchen and stood at the counter until my breathing steadied. My mind wasn't racing. It was blank, like someone had wiped a board clean. In the bathroom cabinet sat a bottle of industrial adhesive my husband used for home repairs. Thick, permanent, unforgiving. Next to it, something else. I remember reading the warning label with calm detachment. I remember my hands not shaking. What I did next wasn't clever. It wasn't even fully thought through. It was humiliation looking for interruption. I swapped the bottles. Then I waited. About an hour later, the house broke open. Confusion first, then sharp voices, then something unmistakable: fear. Real, disoriented fear. My husband staggered into the hallway, pale and furious. "What did you do?" he demanded. I didn't answer. The ambulance siren arrived before either of them could reconstruct a story. That was the moment control shifted, not because of the glue, but because of visibility. Paramedics entered my home with brisk authority. Gloves snapped. Questions came fast and loud. What substance? How long ago? Who else was present? They had to answer plainly. The stretcher rolled past framed family photographs. The private collapsed into clinical procedure. At the hospital, fluorescent lights flattened everything. Intake forms, incident reports, medical staff asking them to explain, in simple language, how this had happened. There is no elegant way to describe betrayal under hospital lighting. My daughter arrived because the hospital called her husband's emergency contact. The look on her face when she understood will stay with me longer than anything else. My husband tried to shape the narrative, a mislabeled product, a misunderstanding, but authority has a way of reducing stories to facts. Substance applied. Circumstances. Timeline. The incident was recorded. In the waiting room, I felt no triumph, only clarity. I had acted impulsively. I saw that clearly. What I did was not graceful. It was reactive, wounded, small. But it interrupted something that had thrived in secrecy. The days afterward were quiet in a way our marriage never had been. He moved into the guest room. He called it "your episode," suggesting instability instead of betrayal. He tried to reposition himself as the wronged party. I stopped arguing. Instead, I made an appointment with a lawyer. I gathered financial documents he assumed I didn't understand. I reviewed accounts. I asked questions. Each piece of information felt steadier than anger ever had. Power did not return dramatically. It accumulated. When he realized I had filed for divorce, he didn't explode. He negotiated. He wanted discretion, privacy, containment. But the paramedics had already stepped inside our life. The hospital report already existed. Silence was no longer an option. My daughter kept her distance. I don't blame her. My reaction added chaos to an already shattered truth. I hold that responsibility. Two realities coexist. I was betrayed, and I did not respond nobly. Still, I refuse to continue absorbing humiliation for the sake of appearances. The house feels different now. Emptier, but honest. I replaced the bathroom cabinet entirely. Not out of shame, but because I can change what surrounds me. There was no dramatic confrontation at the end. Just a lawyer's office. Papers aligned neatly on a polished table. Signatures placed where required. His hand trembled slightly. Mine didn't. I don't feel victorious. I feel solid. The glue incident will likely be the part people remember, the spectacle, the shock. But for me, it marks the moment I stopped disappearing inside someone else's betrayal. What I did was imperfect, human, reactionary, but what I did after, the quiet paperwork, the boundaries, the refusal to be minimized, that is where my dignity rebuilt itself, not in revenge, in leaving.